Welcome to Business is Good, the podcast all about what it means to be in business in the 21st century. Small and medium-sized businesses are the lifeblood of the UK economy, and globally they can and will have a huge impact on society, the economy and how we live our lives. From technology disruption to reworking a solution to solve the world's biggest problem, Business is Good is a podcast about what it takes to be successful and how every business defines that in different ways. Business is no longer just about being defined by what you do, but it's about giving back and redefining the problems and how we solve them in a way that works for you. I'm your host, Caroline Sumners, and I'll be giving you weekly inspirational stories from business owners who are building business and solving problems. Today we're talking to Bianca Gignac, who runs a fabulous company called Italian Fix. I met Bianca when I went on a creative writing retreat a couple of years ago, and she's just all-round fabulous, energetic, wonderful and inspiring person that's just got the most amazing business. We had great fun talking about all things running your own business, so enjoy. Tell me about the business and why you started it, and just give us the background.
Thank you so much, Caroline, for having me on, for the invitation. I really appreciate it. I'm very excited to be here, so thank you.
Pleasure.
Yes. So, it was all very innocent, really. Some of us get into business. We might be born entrepreneurs in just the way that we sort of came up in the world in the early days, but we actually didn't really connect to that until a little bit later. And I say that because I was a little bit innocent when I started my company. I absolutely felt like I had a lot of niche knowledge on a particular subject. Yeah. And I kept being asked the same things over and over. And I created a business really around those questions being asked me often. And so, and when I say I got into it very innocently, like now I can say, yes, I'm Bianca. I own a travel and media company, but that certainly, wasn't the way it started out. It was more like, I'm Bianca and I lived in Europe for a few years, specifically Italy. I married an Italian man and I had a lot to share about this particular part in the world. And so I started running tours to Italy. Because I really thought that I could share, the beauty of the places that I know and have somebody experience, just, increase the quality of their life, really, by traveling with me to Italy. And that's how I got started. And, this is the market we primarily work in, but, our company, will service, most of the top countries in Europe within the next 3 years.
Oh, wow. That's interesting. So you're moving on from Italian Fix to fixing something else.
Yeah. So the core business and the core market is in the Italian market, but really, the business is, helping people live a richer and more interesting life, expose them to cultures and new ways of thinking. And, you can enhance the quality of people's life. That's the blue sky, feeling that I do. But, that can be applied to so many different markets. And, the practical thing is, that I make sure that, all those clients, they're in, they're being picked up at the right time at the airport. They're going to lovely hotels. They have the best tour guides in the country that work for us. And we have like the most curated experiences. That's all the practical nuts and bolts, but you can expand that into like any market you would like. If you have the energy, Caroline.
So do you own, I think you do, you only do, as you say, curated tours. So you accompany every single tour, is that right?
No, actually, I stopped doing that a couple of years ago because, I am a wife and a mother. And when I started my company, I was, like I said, I was just green as anything. And so I believed that the way to start a company was to just be the jack of all trades. And now I understand that the way to grow a company is actually find the best people, put them in the best positions, and let them grow. So now my team completely runs all the tours, and I haven't been on a tour for 3 years personally. And so, we just have the best guides, the best partners, and I'm in charge of designing and product. I'm really the head of product in the company now.
Well, I mean, that sounds like a pretty exciting job still to me. So
it is. I mean, product, when you own a travel company, it does involve, renting beautiful apartments along the coast,
Oh, no.
Right now, my window, I sort of had to, before our call, I had to batten down the hatches here because, my window, it's my rented apartment on the Italian Riviera. It's not my apartment. It's the one I stay here when I'm in the area working. And it has these double doors that look really onto the ocean and has the little green and white striped rolling shutters that you see in Italy. But there's Vespas zipping by and, like beer trucks, like rambling and getting their recycling out and birds chirping. And so I had to close everything up. So we have audio here.
Well, I was talking to someone earlier and they decided to do road construction outside my house today.
Lovely. Yes.
And I actually had to cancel a call this morning where I was going to do another interview with someone because the noise of the trucks and the beeping and everything was so loud that I was just like, okay, we're going to have to rearrange that.
Yeah, no, I know. Audio's everything.
It is. So it's a nice clear line all the way from the Italian Riviera.
I know, right? But we're close. We're sort of neighbors right now, Caroline.
I know. So tell me kind of how you got started. I know you said you met you have an Italian husband. Is that really the kind of the genesis of the whole thing?
Yeah, I mean, really, I come from a family of hard knocks and hustle is really what the genesis of growing up and, growing into sort of the owner of the company and the founder of the company that I am now. So we kind of, my mom raised my sister and me on her own, and she always just was doing super random things to make us have groceries, so she always had this real okay, well, girls, I think we've got to go and knock on some doors and collect some bottles because bills need to be paid this month. Okay, now we're going to do this because we've got to move. And, it was a pretty scrappy upbringing. I definitely attribute my gratitude for what I now have, but also the scrappiness of just doing something with absolute nothing. From just my childhood growing up in Canada. I grew up on Vancouver Island, which is just a rock in the sea in Canada. And, growing up and, just learning as you go. So for me, when I put myself through college, I was very creative. I channeled that creativity into getting an arts degree. But what that was, I could have went into commerce or finance, but that kind of scared me. And what I now know in my adult brain is that, when you're an entrepreneur and you're a builder of things, you will kind of glom on to anything to build something from nothing. And that's the spirit of what I did. So I had my fine arts degree. In my last year of college, I was madly, I really, really, really wanted to come to Europe to study. And that was absolutely out of like my price range to be able to afford international tuition. So what I did is I got pretty creative and I applied to all of the all of the bursaries and scholarships I could find, really. And I ended up by getting a bursary from the Italian Cultural Institute of Vancouver that gave me an apartment and a course to study Italian language at one of the art schools in Florence. And they said, Bianca, you've got a week to decide if you'd like this. And I'm like, oh my goodness, oh my goodness, I have to make this decision. Like, I think I had like $400 to my name. And, was living in some crappy apartment in the city, in a Canadian city that overlooked the garbage dumpster. And I said, you know what, I'm going to take this opportunity. I think I'm going to make it work. And I came to Italy and I got the opportunity to study here. And what happened, which often happens when you leave your home, and I was going to write a blog post about it. It's like, don't let your daughter travel to Italy. And it's pretty much, with many people that I know here, they met somebody from here. And, that's what I did. And then within a year of meeting Alessandro, my now husband, we got married within a year. And I moved to Italy, basically packed my thrift store clothes and my art supplies into my green tweed suitcase. And I jetted off to live in Europe.
Fantastic. I love it. So how long ago, when was that? You were like 19, 20 or something?
No, it was 15 years ago, mid-20s. Freshly graduated, and I thought, oh, fabulous. I'm going to live in, the art capital, and I'm going to really do something with my art career. And, and I did. And then I realized that I was not that interested in making things. And this is when the epiphany for, my business came about. Because I did end up by, after living in Italy for a couple of years, we moved to Canada, back to where I grew up. And, my husband came with me. And so when I was pursuing my arts, interests and trying to make a career out of it, I was like, why am I producing these objects? I actually don't care a lot about objects. It's like somebody who put all my stuff in storage, and went to university, and then I went traveling, and, I backpacked around Southeast Asia when I was 19 for a year. Like, I was just somebody that I wasn't that attached to material things. So when I decided, a career in the arts is really, creating grants and doing, that route, or creating product. And then I realized, what do I really want? And then I started to do some soul searching. And that's how I came to my current business. It was like, what would I do? I remember reading the question very clearly. What would you do if you were not paid? What would you do anyway if you were not paid? It was like,
that's a great question, actually, of how to decide if you're really doing what you really love, isn't it?
Mm-hmm. And I remember reading this story of somebody who, she was a lawyer, and she had a ton of books spread around her apartment, all about law. She absolutely voraciously read books about law and criminal justice on her spare time. And her friend came in her apartment and she realized that she didn't have a single book about what she was in, about law. She was also a lawyer. Single law book around her apartment. What she had is all children's books. And that's when she found her true passion, that she needed to quit lawyering and go and, be a children's book writer. And when I read that story, it was like, yeah, what would you do? What do you already do on your free time that you really love? And I feel like that's really simplistic. And, I wouldn't necessarily give somebody that advice, like what would you do on your free time, and then build a business from that, because, we all grow as individuals. Like there's so many different cocktails, if you will, that you need to like actually create a company. But, if you are in a bit of flux, and if you are looking for answers about like which direction you should take, it's like, what do you spend a lot of time doing in your free time? Like I know somebody who's in flux right now, and he spends an incredible amount of time trail running, jogging, reading running magazines, waking up super early in the morning, going swim. Like he's super into fitness.
Yeah.
He has an office job.
Right.
So, no wonder he's hating his job in the office right now, because what he really wants to be doing is doing some sort of, training or moving of the body. So, yeah, I think they're interesting questions,
Yeah, that is. I think I'm going to have a think about that. I'm going to go and look and see what all the books are around my house.
And things change, right? We know that.
Yeah, totally.
What we were interested in 10 years ago, might not be what we're interested in now. I mean, you and I, we love marketing. So, what we were doing or reading about in marketing 10 years ago might have been a little bit different than what we're reading and thinking about in marketing right now.
Oh my goodness, yes, it totally. And it's what I was thinking about the other day was the way in which it sort of changes so quickly. I was reading a blog post that I'd written like 4 years ago, and it felt like it was really out of date, but
yeah,
and you just think, crikey, I've just got to, and that, I mean, actually, if I look around my house, I can tell you most of the books are about marketing or
are they? Yeah.
Business development, or they're about, one of the things I'm reading at the moment is Story Brand.
Okay.
Doug Miller, is it? Anyway.
I'm not familiar, no.
It's an American guy based in Nashville, and it's about how you build stories around your business and tell stories, because it's that customers will connect with, or people that you want, that's what they want. They want the stories. They want to understand why you're doing what you're doing, and they don't want that whole sell mentality anymore. No one really wants that. So it's about how you build stories around your business, and it's really interesting. So who knows? It's back to the writing of copy, all of that, which is how Bianca and I met, because I came on one of your trips that you do with Laura Belgray it's Florence now, isn't it? But it wasn't when I came.
That's right. Yeah, we were on the Riviera when you came.
Yeah, so a whole kind of week of copywriting and pasta and Aperol spritz.
And just, taking that sweet time to work on a sort of a subset of your business. But I say that's just general in traveling anyway, right? Like, it's so liberating to know you've got like, I've got a week to do this, or I've got 2 weeks to do this. And, you pack your bags and you're in it to win it. You're going there to do the thing, whether it's at a conference or you're traveling for pleasure. You really get in the headspace of I'm going to get the most out of this, and I'm going to enjoy this. That's why I love going to, in-person events, and I love hosting them.
Yeah. And I still see and speak to some of the ladies that were on that trip. So it was great. great.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
even though, and in fact, I went to an event last year and Colleen popped up on the event and we were like, oh my goodness.
Lovely. I love it.
Yeah. So you see, and someone said to us, how do you two know each other? Because Colleen lives in Florida somewhere. I forget where in Florida. I live on the south coast of the UK. The event was in London. And they were like, how do you know each other? And we were like, oh, we met in Italy.
And there people are like, you're just making that up.
No, we did. We met in Italy on a writing, creative writing type thing. So it was excellent. So, so have you got any kind of particular highlight that you've had with your business? Is there one thing that you can pick out, or is there just too many?
No, I mean, absolutely. If there's one thing, I mean, I'm very, it's growing a company is a hard road. And I wouldn't say to anybody, oh, you should absolutely do this. This is the right thing for you. Because I think it takes such a, like I said, the word before, cocktail. It's a mix of many different elements. But for somebody who loves the game and who uses building their company as their most extreme form of personal growth, I think that I can say building the company, the greatest highlight for me has just been seeing the growth. I mean, I did start the company with $80 and a book from the library and my husband's computer. I mean, I did not know anything. I didn't even own a computer. I was green as anything. And just to have been able to every year, I see more customers on our guest list. I just see the growth. I see the growth. It's super exciting. So that's the highlight, that's personal highlight. I mean, I think definitely the highlight for me is seeing, I'm on this podcast because I met you in Italy, and I like seeing the highlights as far as our customers are concerned is the web, because I I really do feel strongly. It's one of my core values, that it's the people you meet, it's the journey that you're on and the people you meet along the way.
Yeah.
And when I see, from my very, very humble beginnings and my very, very humble and focused efforts, that I've been able to connect a lot of people together. And I see a lot of the friendships that have been created, either through, some of the biz dev workshops that we do, and just some of the holidays that we put on, 10 days traveling throughout Sicily. We have people on the trip who are like, they haven't taken a vacation in 2 years. I mean, some of them are single moms. Some of them are putting this on their credit card, right? Like some of them have saved for 3 years. Yeah. Some of them are newly divorced. Some of them are like, they're newly unmarried. I like that term. Some of them, it's just like everybody's in a different situation, but everybody is there to be taken care of, and they need that. They need that decompression. And so what we do is we create a space and time for people to be in there. And then the connections that are formed inside of that container they're like life-changing. They're literally life-changing. I've had life-changing people come into my life from being in business. And I have had my clients have life-changing experiences from the people that they have met.
Yeah. I mean, that's just,
yeah,
that's a pretty fantastic thing to be able to say, isn't it?
It is. And, and I don't say it lightly because, it's, I have great, gratitude and respect for everybody who puts their hand up and says, yes, like I'm going to do business with your company, because it is a noisy a noisy landscape out there. So, just it's next level. It really is, having people on the trips who cry at the end of their trip. People are in tears. They're crying. They're hugging each other going, I'll see you here. And then I see on my Facebook, because I'm connected with so many clients, and I'll see like 5 years later, people that I know that they met in Italy on one of our experiences. They're, they're in Portugal together now. They're in Spain. They're in California, Disneyland together. I mean, just it's happened so many times. I lose track.
That's brilliant. I love it. Yeah. And I can say, I mean, I didn't even come on one of your full kind of like tours, but
sure.
I think we were only like 3 days. So,
yeah.
And I think, loads of us are still in touch as a result of that. So it's great. And I think it just broadens your thinking and your understanding of the world, really, because you meet people from so many different places.
Yeah. Well, you're also putting yourself out there too. I mean, there's a kind of person that will sign up to go and travel halfway across the world or just across the pond, to go and say, I'm traveling alone, or I'm open enough to do something like that. And it's scary. It's scary for everybody. A lot of people who come on our tours, they are traveling alone, probably 60% of the people. And everybody's nervous before they get there. And then they come, and then it's like, oh no, this is a really safe space to be. This is a place that you can let your hair down, because we all wear all these different masks in our regular life, the work life, you got to be like super on the ball. That's the on the ball mask. And then there's the mother mask. And then there's like, there's all these different things you have to be. And sometimes when you go somewhere else, you take it out of your natural environment, you can let your hair down. Like you kind of connect to that free spirit. And, that's definitely, and we set up a lot of experiences to help people connect with that, because I think that's super important. I mean, that's really hippie West Coast Vancouver Island lingo, but I really do believe in that. I believe that there's this, this younger version of yourself that's sort of been like pushed down because of like age and life and responsibilities, and just like, whoa, just like let that, that little girl or that little boy shine for a few minutes. And you have serious breakthroughs about your life, about your situation, new ways of thinking, new ways of doing. And yeah, it's pretty significant.
I'm feeling like I need to book on one of your holidays again.
Well, I mean, everybody wants to go on a vacation. It's not a hard sell, right?
It's not. No, it's definitely not. Especially Sicily. I went to Sicily, I think 2 years ago for the first time. Oh my goodness, I loved it.
Oh, Sicily I totally have a love affair with Sicily. Total crush.
Yeah, it was just, I couldn't believe the food, the landscape, the scenery, the people. It was just fantastic. It just wasn't long enough. But I did choose, I went in May, and I think I got like some bad weather omen, because it actually rained in Sicily in May when I was there.
I know. I always wish it could just be sort of 25 and perfect for every season. But, I have friends in Sicily. They are swimming in November. I mean, who is jealous of that? I am swimming November. No, Sicily's next level. Well, Sicily is where the Italians go and holiday. Like, the Italians are very picky, right? Like, they're going to go to specific places for their summer vacation.
Yeah.
And so that's why I ended up because we didn't start off running tours down there, and we started just because it was a mix of me going down there and sort of exploring the area. And I was like, oh, our clients absolutely need to go to Sicily. And now it's our best-selling tour.
Yeah, I'm not surprised. It's
yeah.
just fantastic.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Okay. So you said, I just want to take it back to when you said that when you started your company, you were, you knew nothing. You were, you had no idea and you didn't even have a computer. So what do you wish you'd known when you first started? Is there anything you wish you'd known when you first started? That you know now?
I mean, I'm glad I didn't know how hard it was, because I would probably, I might have not followed through. And when I say hard, it's always like in business, it's like, I always feel it's like a ping pong. It's like, da, da, da. Oh, good. Like up 3 stairs and you're like, oh my gosh, I'm freaking amazing. This is working. Da, da, da. And then it's like down 2 stairs. Then it's like up 4 stairs and then it's like down 5 stairs. It's just that juggle, right? Mm. So I am really glad to answer your question the exact opposite way you asked, Caroline. I'm really, really glad I didn't know how hard it was.
Okay. Yeah.
Because I might have not had the guts. Yeah. I might have not had the guts as a 30-year-old woman who did not have an education in finance, certainly wasn't connected with anybody, and had a small child and very little resources. I probably would have chickened out. So I'm really, really, really glad that I didn't know, because I just kept at it. But what I wish I would have known, absolutely, I wish I would have hired help earlier. I absolutely wish I would have hired coaches and mentors earlier. I'm really into personal development. I've spent a lot of money on coaches and consultants and experts. And I am like, I know now the wheel doesn't need to be reinvented, but back when you're starting out, you're like, I'm not at that level. I can't afford it. It's like, just figure out a way to afford it. Just figure out a way.
Yeah.
Go in. Yeah.
A couple of people have said that, actually. I wish they'd hired sooner. Mm-hmm. And they wish they had had a coach or mentor sooner. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I'm a huge believer in having somebody by your side who is your advocate, because I'm going to say, when you're first starting out, it's like, sorry, but everybody's against you. At least it wasn't my position. I hear of people who go, oh yeah, I had this person by my side and I had this person by my side and da da da. But no, a lot of us, we are absolutely on our own, and we're not even on our own. We actually have a lot of people. Those are the fire signs, right? They're like, okay, you're going to push against me. I'm going to show you. For those of us that are fiery like that is good when people don't believe in you. So yeah. I had people in my life that absolutely did not believe in me, who actually tried to, out of love, I have no sort of, bad feelings about it, but just well-intentioned people that they have their own fears. And now I understand that that's their own fears, but they really don't want you to get your head in too deep. So, just, having people by your side and being like, it's okay, you're going to do this. There's people that have done this before you and you can pull this off.
Do you think that's changed, though, since you started? I mean, I totally agree with you that I always use the word relentless. I think it's relentless.
I love it.
You love when you run your own business, because it is. Because even when you think, okay, yeah, everything's flowing smoothly. Yep, the customers are, even when you think for like 5 seconds, everything's good, something will come and hit you in the face and it'd be like, oh, really? And it is relentless, and you've always got something to think about. But
it's not, the work is never done. The work is never done. If you're somebody who likes to clock out at a certain time, having even your own side hustle is not recommended. I mean, you have to be a maniac. You have to be next level maniac to build a company. There's plenty of lifestyle companies that are built, and I have amazing friends, building coaching practices and lifestyle companies. And hats off. I'm talking about, companies that are not in a personal brand in that space.
Yeah. Employees
and deductions and crazy taxes and laws. And, that is for the maniacs. That's for people who, want to, really want to go in the fire. There's a lot of us out there, but when I was first starting out, I didn't have a lot of people that I knew like me around me.
Yeah, no, I mean, I totally agree with that from, just if I look around sort of, I mean, my dad always ran his own business. So to me, it wasn't a strange thing to quit my job randomly and start a business. But I know I realize now how unusual it is, but you forget it because you start to surround yourself with people who are also a little bit crazy and run their own business. So you kind of forget how strange it is still to do that. But I don't know whether you think now, if you were starting now, do you think that would be easier, or do you think, because, you look around on social media and there's all sorts of people that, and groups and support and even the coaches and consultants, but do you think it's easier now, or do you think it's still just as hard?
No, I think yes, the world is, I started 8 years ago. So, that's not that long ago. There was a little less, social media was less of a big deal. So we actually had to go out and, we were more like, there was a lot of people growing their audiences, just like not on social. So I think that it was, there's always been people willing, there's always been coaches in the landscape and groups and stuff out there. I think now it's just a little bit more apparent. I think there's always been, that's what the country clubs were. That's what.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
Yeah. So there's always been those groups. But it's a mental game, right? It's like, well, when are you ready for marketing? Well, when the founder is ready. Well, when are you ready for coaching? Well, when the founder is ready. I mean, it's all a mental game. You only can go so far as you mentally are able to do.
Yeah.
You can't even make the next hire unless you are mentally able to make the next hire. Because you're not, it's for self-funded companies, it really is, hiring based on, hoping that person is going to bring in the revenue, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, you've got to be at that point, haven't you, where you feel comfortable that if you hire that person, that you can pay them.
Yeah, you got to be comfortable in your own abilities too, because oftentimes the money's not sitting in the bank, but it's like you are comfortable in your own abilities to think differently, act differently, be creative, do something you haven't done before. And even if you know that all else fails, you'll still figure it out just because you just have such a growth mentality.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I think might be a few people out there who maybe after listening to you might think, you know what, I'm just gonna go for it, because Bianca can do it on $80 in another country, then I'm pretty certain that I can.
Yeah, well, it's a new world right now, right? So we literally can, it's easier than ever to start. So, if you want to, start a business or a side hustle, a side gig from your current job, it really is easier than ever. And there's so many, everything is just a Google away. And, and the lifestyle, I'm absolutely not hireable anymore because, the lifestyle that comes with being able to grow your own company. And sure, the hours are different than, your gig if you worked in, I don't know, anything else except real estate. Maybe those people are on 24 hours, but, you know, just the lifestyle that you can have. Like, you know, right now I have my husband and my 11-year-old daughter, and we are in Italy. You know, we don't live here anymore full time, but we're here for 2 months.
Yeah.
We can only do that. Like, that was like just a dream at one time. And we're in Italy, but we could be in Croatia. We could be in Mexico. We could be anywhere. We absolutely could be anywhere. And it's because it's just the magic of, you know, the way the world works right now. And even just a freelancer. I mean, the world of freelance has changed so much as well. So it's a beautiful time. I'm very positive about the future. I'm excited for the future. I think it's a new time, a new world of work. I think it's a better place to work. There's better companies to work for. A lot of people I hear grumbling about, you know, the hours and, everybody works so much like now. And I'm like, yeah, but our style of working is different. It's much more integrated. And, you know, there's so many more rules there, you know, for, you know, in work, and, you know, there's so many more social norms. You know, it's like it's not required anymore to, you know, be at the office at 7 and be leaving at 10 o'clock at night, like, to feel like you're doing a good job. Like, people will still respect you if you're, you know, trying to be there. You're a mom you know, you're going to take the afternoon off so you can go watch your kids' school play. Like, there's a lot of respect for that stuff right now that I feel like wasn't there when our parents were working.
Yeah.
I think it was like they had to choose. They had to choose about a career or family. And I feel like that choice right now is so much more fluid. We can just create it as we're going.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I think, you know, talking about lifestyle, I went to a Pilates class at 11:30 this morning because I can.
You can.
And I work my day around it because I know that I'm going to go at 11:30 once a week. And so it's about, you know, making sure that you've got that flexibility, isn't it? I too think that I may be unemployable now.
Yeah, sure.
So, but hey, there you go. So,
well, yeah, and it's, I mean, not, employable if we really wanted to.
Yes.
Oh, people would be, you know, they'd be lucky, right, to work with us. But it's just like, yeah, we're so used to having control over our time that is not, you know, that freedom is really, really, really hard to give away, because at the end of the day, you're never going to be like, oh, I wish I spent more time in the office. No, like when you're sitting on your bed at the end of the day, it's like, no, I wish I was self-actualized. I wish I did the things that I believe were the right things to do.
Yeah.
The right time. And I feel like, you know, being able to run your own company and you know, work with the people you want to work with, and do the campaigns you want to do, and create the products you want to do, and you know, create the impact you want to have. You can do it all around, you know, hanging out on the deck of your apartment on the Riviera. It's totally possible. I made
this new rule only recently, actually, over the summer, early summer, where I decided I was only going to actually work with people that I like.
Yes, beautiful. I love this so much.
I had a tough year with some clients last year, and it got to the point where I thought,
it's not worth it.
Why am I doing this?
Yeah.
And I've got a couple of clients I'm working with right now who are just the loveliest people.
Dream. Yep.
Pleasure to work with.
Yep.
You know, mutual respect.
Yes.
And just nice people. So you just think, you know what? I'm actually only going to work with people that I like, that you know, each other's professionally there's respect, you know, because otherwise you just think, well, why am I doing this? Because when you get to the point where you're dreading your phone ringing or you're getting an email and you think, oh no, what is it going to say? On top of everything else that you're trying to do as a business owner, then you just think, okay, enough. Something has to stop.
Mm-hmm.
So new rule, only people that are nice and people that I like.
Well, think about the trickle down effect too of that, Caroline.
Yeah.
On an energetic level, because I do believe that,
yes,
I'm
totally.
very, it's all energy. It's all momentum. Think about even when you just have the flu, how much that gets you off your game for just for days. Right. And that's just managing energy. So being able to work with people who like excite you and light you up, even just the team you have around you, the people you hire, it's just like, when that lights you up, you become unstoppable because you're just excited. You're just excited to wake up the next day. That's how I feel. I'm just excited. Like, what can I do tomorrow?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Yeah, so that's my new rule and my tip.
Love it.
Only work with people you like and the people that are nice. But that's taken me 4 years to get to that, to have that kind of like epiphany of like,
Did you feel like you couldn't before? You couldn't be so choosy?
I think so, yeah. I think it gets to a point, I think, when you're starting out where you're just like, yeah, I'll do that. I can do that. I can do that. And going back to the energy thing, you don't do your best work.
No.
Because, something's not right. And I'm a great one in listening to my gut. Mm-hmm. And I generally know if something's right or not. And sometimes when you go against it and you think, oh no, I can do this anyway. It just doesn't work out. It never works out how you think it's going to work out. Or probably it does work out how you know it's going to work out, really. But you just kind of put it to the back of your mind and think, oh, it'll all be okay.
Yeah. And there's also something there that is like, that's a boundaries thing too, right?
Yeah.
Allowing people to, like work with you either like when they're sloppy or they're not, like they're a bad communicator. Like, I don't got no time for that. That's just difficulty that is just doesn't need to be in your workday. There's bigger things to solve. So yeah, I feel like, creating the excitement, going and working with clients or in projects you're happy to work on, and having a team. And as soon as like it's not right, I'm always like, it's got to be a win-win. It's always got to be a win-win. If it's not a win-win, sorry, not interested. Absolutely not. Life is too short for this blather.
It is. But I think it does take you, when you first start out, I don't know that I would have had the confidence to do that. Or
I think it's a confidence thing. I think it's a female thing too.
Oh, yeah. Oh, my goodness. Yeah. That's a whole other discussion.
Yeah. Oh, it's a good one though, right? Because women we're absolute gluttons for that. We're like, oh, maybe they didn't mean to. Oh, they're coming across as like that. Like we start to make excuses for other people's bad behavior. And then it's like, you know what? Sorry, that is just bad behavior. And I don't have any time to deal with that. So
yeah,
you can go away now.
Right. Well, on that note, I think that's a good time to stop. I could talk to you for hours. I think we have to do another one on women and business or something. I don't know. We'll have another conversation at some point.
Yeah, I'd love to. I mean, there's a lot to say and there's a lot to share, and we're living in a world that people are really interested in sharing their best tips and it's a generous community. The business community is so generous. I love our community. So I feel like the help of and the ear of somebody else is really just a phone call and an email or an DM away. So
exactly.
Lucky us. Yeah.
exactly. Right, well, it must be time for an Aperol in Italy.
It is. You are so right. Yes. A little bit of bubbly.
I am literally obsessed with Aperol spritz.
Oh my God, I know. Well, and then on the Riviera and the Cinque Terre area, they do the lemon spritz.
Oh.
So yes, and it's this, it's Prosecco and sparkling water and limoncello. So
I might have to try that out.
Put that in your mind and sip it.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you ever so much, Bianca. Great to speak to you. And we'll chat soon, I'm sure.
Grazie mille. Thank you so much, Caroline.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Well, I don't know about you, but that conversation makes me want to pack my bags and head straight off to Italy now. So hopefully you enjoyed that and got something out of hearing Bianca's story about how it's just so important to just take a chance and what's the worst that can happen. So until next time, that's it from the Business is Good podcast. Thanks a lot.